is you have to utilize your team and know that it takes a team to make this all work, and figuring out that person's strengths and honing in on that, and letting everybody be a part of the team. So, in my stream team, everybody plays a vital part. There's no I in team. Everybody is just as important. And we just, identify their strengths and we utilize that and use it. The next point that I have is you need to teach. You need to teach people how to fish so they can feed themselves. A lot of times I'll notice that person's a managing director and they're sending me ridiculous questions. And I think to myself, you should know this by now. So we don't want to be rude. We want to answer their questions, but we also want to follow up as to where we found that information at. We want our people to become as independent as quickly as possible, so that you're not fielding a million different, let me mute my phone, a million different questions, because as your team gets larger and you're growing, you're only one person. You can't be everything to everybody. So we want to teach these people how to become, we're called independent associates for a reason. When a person's a regional director on their way to managing director, I expect, questions, but by the time you've reached the level of managing director, I think that you should be able to navigate the back office and figure out this information on your own. Because again, you guys are managing directors getting ready to become senior directors. And once you hit that elite level, you've got to be ready to lead a team. So you're doing your team a disservice if all you're doing is answering their questions and not showing them where to go find the answers at. Because what's going to happen is you have a bunch of leaders blowing up your phone all day long, and that's not what we're in the business to do. Another thing I want to hit on is I think it's important that people, that we as leaders, managing directors and above, really stress to our team the importance of personal development. You can't get to senior director and come in the same person you started as. You've got to evolve, become a different person. I've never seen a person make senior director in this company and be the same person that they were when they joined as they were when they became a senior director. And that is all due to personal development, going to events, being around people that have done what they want to do. So that's very, very important. We've got to stress the importance of personal development, reading books, and learning to become a better person. Today I was thinking on my way back from my little side job, it's odd to me that when I look at the people who make it to the top in this company, I would say executive director and above, I would have to say that I've identified that 90% of those people have come from adversity. They had hard times. Their first adversity or hard time was definitely not stream. And I think what that's taught them is how to battle through tough times and know how to get punched in the face and get back up. I will tell you, the weak will never make it in this business. They will fall off. You definitely have to be, have some thick skin and be able to fight through those hard times, because this isn't always easy. I think that we also do a disservice by, when we bring people on, we actually read a quote today, they were saying about, what's that movie that everybody's talking about? But anyways, about Bird Box, and how they're saying, oh, everybody will get on there and promote Bird Box, and it's the same as, what we do. No, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, we invest a lot of time in it to do what we do and become the leaders that we become. So don't promote this business as if it's simple. How I promote the business is, how can I help Stream be a solution to the problem in your life? I don't tell anybody this is easy, because it's certainly not. And again, at the end of the day, guys, we're a volunteer army. So my best piece of advice to you is, again, identify your people, identify what they want, and run with the runners. Help those who just want to, make an extra $500 or just get free energy. They're no less important. But my point is that you've got to figure out where you're going to utilize your time and who you're going to work with and invest your time into. So my action step for everybody here today is to find somebody in Stream that your story mimics. Hopefully somebody that you're not financially connected to, somebody that you know in Stream, whether they were in construction, they're a school teacher, they're a busy mom, they're mom, single father, somebody that you can relate to and who is somewhere where you want to be. You want to be a senior director, right? So find a senior director that mimics your story, what your background is, find that person and lock arms with them and let them help you learn from their mistakes. And guys, that's all I have for you. I don't want to take up too much time. We have some incredible leaders on here today, but hopefully you got some value from what I had to say. And if there's anything I can do to help any of you, let me know.
Hey, Tara, thanks a lot. I just want to just kind of piggyback on some of the things that you touched on. One of them is having thick skin. There's a lot of people that get in this company that don't initially in the beginning have thick skin, but throughout the process of plugging in, running with other leaders, learning from other leaders, and then achieving those goals they set out, they begin to have a different posture and a different confidence about themselves, where they start to learn how to handle the no's and they start to understand the process. And again, that's why it's so important to plug in, because when you're running with these types of leaders and these types of people that have been where you're at, they can relate to where you're at and what you're going through, and they can help you. And eventually over time, you'll start developing that. Another thing you mentioned there, Tara, that hit home to me was meet people where they're at. You know, it's something that I had to learn, and I still have to learn, because Tara will tell you, I'm not a very patient person. Patience isn't one thing that's the best for me. But I will tell you, over the last 5.5 years, I have grown tremendously, because I've learned that it takes a lot of patience to deal with lots of different types of people. And you're going to come across lots of different types of people. And you got to understand that not everybody is going to be a Tara Woodman, a Steve Guzman, a Kim Stevens. They're going to be different. And some of them are going to take time and so forth. So meet people where they're at, and understand that these people that come into your business, they're going to be one or the other. They're either going to be an introducer or they're going to be a producer. In most cases, they're going to be an introducer. Don't look at that as, oh, well, they're not really going to do much. That's not necessarily true. Those introducers can introduce you to somebody who is a producer. And that generally comes from a friend, getting a friend, getting a friend, getting a friend. 3, 4, 5 levels down, all of a sudden you get a producer. I have one on the line here watching this today, Cheryl Latre out of New York. I didn't know her. A producer found an introducer who then introduced him to another producer. And that's how this works. It's brick by brick. So that's how we build it. Great job, Tara. You rocked it as always. Let's see that Steeler hat one last time.
All right. Where's Wayne Allen at? My homie. Where's the Steelers here at?
You got it lit? I don't see it lit. What's going on here? Where's the excitement, huh? Oh, Christmas is over. Heck with your
there we go. Is that better?
Put that hat on again.
There we go.
Steel Nation.
All right. Thanks a lot, Tara. Next up is an associate that actually is part of Tara's organization. Tara has literally mentored and coached this young lady. I remember her first getting into the business. She was very timid, very quiet, didn't really say much, really kept to herself. And she stayed plugged in, though. She stayed coming to events, coming to meetings, running with runners and leaders. And here she is today. It's an amazing short period of time in just 1 year that she's actually not only promoted to senior director, but made the very prestigious 300 Club. Very excited to have Kimberly Stevens out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania on the line with us. I have no doubt when you go to Ignition this year, they will present you not only with the 300 Club, not only as a new SD, but I think you're going to be walking that stage was a Rising Star Award, because what you've done this year is pretty amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Senior Director Kimberly Stevens.
Hi, Jason. Thank you very much for all of your kind words. I really appreciate it. It's a very amazing feeling to be a part of this, especially in the capacity that I have become a senior director and just hit the 300 Club. It's amazing. And it's funny because I really never saw myself as a leader or as being able to do this business when I was taught the business by Tara and my boyfriend, Jeff Perry. I knew nothing about network marketing, and I was very worried about it, scared of it, and I was almost in tears when Tara explained the business to me. But my original plan was to just get free energy and to be able to help my family in that respect. And then as I stayed plugged in, I really feel that that's like the main thing, that if you keep your hands in this business, you will succeed. I mean, the only way you can fail in this business is to quit. So if you know the meetings, if you know the people, you need to lock arms with your upline. You really need to understand your trade, because you can't expect to have customers or associates join you unless you feel comfortable in what you're doing. So I really feel like that's a main reason why I was able to do well, is that I really learned the process and how to read a bill and how to speak to someone that is, not sure of, I know Tara was saying a lot about teaching people to be independent, which I do understand. But on the other hand, I like new people to understand that they have me as their resource, because they aren't going to do well unless they feel comfortable. So when they first start off, you're going from MD to SD right now. You need to find some runners. You need to find some people that have a big why, that want to go out and kill this business. So, but you need to, like she was saying also, stay with them where they are, find out where they are, find out where they want to be, and help them, push them to get to the next level. Really, I feel like the beauty in this business is that we're doing the same thing in every level. When you first come in, you need a few customers, you need a few associates. When you get to the next level, you need the same thing. You get to the next level, you need the same thing. You're not doing anything different than you were doing from day one. You just get better at it as you go. So you get more confident, you understand more of the business. I really feel like you need to help train your people to be able to answer questions so that they understand. I am a single mom. I've worked in the same place for 20 years. And, I really love in Stream that you can be whatever you want to be. You can make this business your full-time income. You can make it your wonderful, side hustle. But the thing of it is you can do whatever you put your mind to do. Whatever you help others do helps you. So it's really not, everyone gets in this business to make some money, truthfully, but it really turns into a business of changing lives and helping others and figuring out what you can do to always help others and keep them moving, changing their perspective in life. So I think that's about all the points I wanted to make. I really feel like as long as you understand the process, one of the great things that happened this year for us was we started a home meeting. And sometimes we only have people on our team come to the home meeting and we don't have any prospects come, but we still talk about Stream and we still talk about our goals every single week. And it's just, I feel like it's the people that stay plugged in and stay active, always knowing if you need to put it down for, a day or two because you're frustrated. I've done it before. It happens to everyone, but I've never let it out of my sight. Like, it's always been something that's been a priority in our house, both Jeff and I. And I really feel like that's why we've been able to do well. On October 4th, we had 156 coded downline customers. And I really, really wanted to hit that 300 club. And we found some people who wanted to run. It was great. It was amazing. But the main point I'm trying to make is that, we had a pretty slow time in the months before that. But if you're always talking about it, always introducing it to people need this in their life. And they will, if they get it and they're ready to go. I mean, our life has completely changed between October 4th and the end of the year. We hit the 300 club. We ended the year in over 300 coded customers. It's an amazing feeling because we had a wonderful team that was ready to run. And, it's just everybody has a place in your team, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And you just need to figure out what that is and, keep everybody moving. And it's an awesome feeling. So thank you.
Hey, I love that stuff, Kimberly. I remember coming to your home meeting and what you had. And I loved how you guys broke up into 3 different groups and everyone trained on a certain topic. And then you kind of rotated it. It just goes to show why your team is having success. And you being at 156 in October of 18 and finishing with over 300 to make that prestigious 300 club speaks volume. Definitely credit to that home meeting. I know that had a lot to do with it. A team that works together, stays together, wins together. It's just a proven fact. And you got to love it when you do it because everyone goes, "Oh, you're so lucky." Like, No, you stayed in it for 4 quarters. You didn't bail on quarter 2 or quarter 3 when some people would have, right? You get the third quarter and you're like, oh, 156. I don't know that I can get to 300 in 2 months. Well, you did it. And you did it because you kept your game face on. You stayed disciplined. You stayed at it. And look where you're at.
Yes.
You know, Mike Fody always says luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Isn't that right?
Yes, it is.
So good for you, Kimberly. Glad to have you on. Thank you for your insight. And now we're going to get on to our first gentleman of the evening. This guy I've gotten to know over the last year and a half or so, and I just love this man. He's out of Philadelphia. Awesome dude. Not only coordinated yesterday's call to make sure this all went smoothly, but he's doing it again today while also speaking. He's a guy that will give his time to anybody in the stream community. A great leader. It's no wonder that last year he walked that stage as a Rising Star Award winner. And out of Philadelphia, guys, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Senior Director, the one and only Steve Guzman.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. That's a great introduction. So can you hear me all right?
Yeah, man. You sound great.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so guys, I mean, first of all, congrats to everybody for showing up today. It's Sunday. You know, we have playoff football going on, so you're all taking some time to, you know, invest into your business and yourselves, and that's extremely important. And thank you to all the leaders who showed up and contributed. And Jason, thank you for putting all this together. This is amazing. I'm following up, yesterday's call, which was pretty incredible. Sophia Oberton, I mean, just what an incredible job she did. I'm not really going to be able to fill her shoes, but just incredible job by everybody. So it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be part of this. And thank you for everybody. Thank you, Jason, for putting this together for everybody also. So, so I just kind of want to talk to you guys real quick about overcoming adversity and getting out of your comfort zone. Those are some things that were big struggles for me when I first started this. So I want to quickly touch kind of on my story. It's not about my story, but just to kind of give you some context as to what I'm talking about and some of the things that maybe I struggled with. And, you know, maybe you can see some of that in yourself as well. So growing up, I was a perfect kid. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. You can ask my mom. I was a great kid. I did everything I was told, you know, by adults. I said, please. I said, thank you. I got straight A's. I was very respectful. I think I only got a belt one time. So I was a pretty good kid. My sister got it quite a few more times. She wasn't so good, but that was till about 15 years old. And then I started kind of experiencing a little bit of freedom. I found some things that at the time were more fun for me, and things flipped a little bit. I enjoyed the freedom, and I pretty much quit everything that I was doing. You know, I quit playing baseball. I started kind of hanging out with the wrong crowd of people, and I started getting myself into trouble. So a lot of people don't know this about me, but in 2004, I got myself into some pretty bad trouble. I was a roofer at the time because I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I figured I'd just figure it out later. But, you know, I knew that I had some time. So I was roofing. It was decent money. It was, you know, some quick cash. And so I didn't really have any direction. I started getting myself in trouble, and I lost my license for about 10 years. So if you can imagine, you know, I was about 20 years old at that time, losing your license. And like I said, most people don't know this. I didn't get it back till I was almost 30 years old. And so just even getting groceries was a challenge for me at that time, you know, being a mid-20, male, single at the time, you know, trying to get groceries without a driver's license was challenging. But then a year after that, in 2005, I got jumped outside of a bar, and 2 guys jumped me, and they hit me in the head with a baseball bat 6 times. And so I had a pretty nasty skull fracture. I had some brain bleeding. Things were not going my way. I was really struggling, and it was hard to feed myself. My sister actually had to feed me. And so there was, you know, several months of recovery going through that kind of stuff. I was still kind of doing the same things. I didn't really learn my lesson at the time. And it wasn't my fault. The accident wasn't my fault, but I put myself in a bad situation by hanging around the wrong crowd. You know, I didn't do something to provoke it, but I shouldn't have been where I was anyway. So, you know, I take responsibility for the things that I could have done differently to avoid it. So then in 2010, same thing. I was hanging out with the wrong people. I got in the car with somebody who was drinking. They were driving. We hit a telephone pole, and I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Put my face through the windshield. Again, more brain bleeding. So just try to put yourself in my shoes. Now, you know what it's like if you're trying to go outside and you want to go somewhere and you have a pimple on your face, right? Like it's a big deal. It's the end of the world for some people. I had scars all over my face. I mean, I had stitches all up and down my face. It was all ripped up. I struggled going out in public. You know, anytime I went out in public, I almost had a panic attack because I felt like everybody was staring at me, wondering what happened to me, what's going on. You know, my face was all swollen. It was cut up. It looked like I went through a windshield. So that really put me into a really deep depression. And that was in 2010. And it was challenging. I was single at the time. I'd just broken up with my girlfriend of 5 years, a month before the accident. So imagine somebody, now think about what I said earlier. Imagine somebody who was, didn't have a license. They were roofing, you know, not something they wanted to do forever, living by themselves, just got out of a 5-year relationship. And now, you know, dealing with what I was dealing with the accident, extremely, extremely challenging. So, you know, all that contributed to this deep depression. I had a horrible mindset. Everything that went wrong that's just my luck. I just have bad luck. You know, I expected things to go wrong for me. And guess what happened? They did, you know, but I didn't really take any responsibility for what I was doing in those things. But eventually I finally started getting out of that hole that I was in. And I just had an itch for change. I knew that I could do better. And I knew that this was not the life I was meant to live. You know, I could have lost my life a couple times, and there's more stuff in there. But like I said, this isn't about my story. It's just to give you an idea. So I had this horrible mindset, but I started turning things around. You know, I knew that I could do better, and there was more out there to experience. And so what I did was I kind of saw who I was hanging around and what they were doing, and I started eliminating things that didn't serve me. If you know me, you know that I stopped drinking alcohol about 5 years ago because I know over 5 years ago now, I guess, that was when I was auditing my life and cutting things out of my life that didn't serve me. And that was something that I felt was holding me back. It was it was a part of everything bad that had happened to me up till that point. So even though it might not have been a direct cause, it was a part, and it was hard for me to ignore that. So I cut it out. You know, that wasn't easy. that was difficult. But I just knew it was something I had to do. So you know, I was always feeling defeated. That started to change once I started eliminating things. I started reading some good books, some good self-development books, watching some really good self-development videos, and following some self-development giants in our day. Because now with the internet, we have so much access to information. It's pretty incredible. But what's really important about everything I went through, and I tell you all that so that I can explain that gives you perspective. When you've gone through adversity like that, it gives you a different perspective. You see things differently. The things that were big deals to you before, the thing that might have seemed like, you know, you couldn't overcome it, pales in comparison to trying to feed yourself, right? Like and what I've gone through is nothing compared to what some people have gone through. I mean, you know, like I said, we saw a great example of overcoming adversity and courage and strength. So I'm not, you know, not to compare, because there are people who have gone through much worse, but it does it reshapes the way that you think, right? So the little things, they're not so big anymore. It almost builds mental calluses in your mind once you overcome those things. And one of the greatest things that I ever heard was actually at Ignition in Texas last year. We had Inky Johnson as our keynote speaker. If you went to that, you'll remember exactly what I'm talking about. And he shared his story, which, you know, again, is, you know, it makes my story seem like I had an easy street. You know, it was an easy walk. But he said something that really stuck with me at that Ignition. And he said, adversity causes some people to break and others to break records. And I really internalized that. And I really started thinking about what does that mean? And, you know, and I thought back to my accident. And I guess, you know, at one point I was this way, by the way. I thought, why me? You know the famous Nancy Kerrigan, you know, why me, with the baseball bat to the knee or the crowbar to the knee. That's how I felt. You know, it was, woe is me. Why did this happen to me? I didn't ask for this. Why couldn't I just be normal and just go through, you know, my teenage years, my early 20s, like everybody else, and just live a normal, healthy life? You know, why me? And I had to really take responsibility for why me. And I trace it back to when I started hanging out with the wrong people, and not to blame it on them, but I just put myself in bad situations by doing that. And so when you overcome all this kind of adversity, you have all this new strength and this mental fortitude, and you know, everything that you've ever gone through in your life, no matter how bad it seems to you, you've survived up until this point, obviously. So you've gone through it. So it hasn't killed you, you know. So what else could you do if you really challenged yourself? What else could you do if you really pushed yourself? I think a lot of times we just stay within that comfort zone and we don't find out what we can really do. We don't actually live our life to our fullest potential. We're pretty much settling for what comes our way, and we're not pushing ourselves and challenging ourselves. But when you've gone through some adversity like that, you can use that as your strength to push yourself further. And, maybe you want to say this year, I want to prospect, 5 people a day. And you might think, well, that's really tough. I don't know if I can do that. But when you think about what you've really gone through, maybe that's enough to say, you know what, it's really not that tough. I'm just making up a fake story in my own mind. And then what's cool about that is once you do that, it sets the bar at a higher level. It changes the game for you. And so I want to talk real quickly about just getting out of your comfort zone. And, that's scary for a lot of people. And Steve Harvey has a great video on YouTube where he likens it to jumping off of a cliff, and being a bird, basically. He says, when you jump off a cliff, or let's say you're parasailing, or no, what is it? Base jumping. Let's say you're base jumping and you jump off of that cliff or whatever it is that you're jumping off of that you probably shouldn't be jumping off of because it's illegal. And so you're about to jump off and you do it and you're scared, right? Well, first of all, before you even jump, you're scared. But then you build up the courage to do it, and the parachute doesn't open right away. And you might deal with a little bit of self-doubt, and maybe you're a little bit scared, you're nervous as that's going. But once that parachute opens, you're able to soar. But it all started with that belief, that belief that parachute would open. If you didn't believe the parachute would open, you would never jump. So you have to see yourself in that place that you want to be before you even take those steps. You have to believe it within yourself. You have to have vision and see that happening. You can't be afraid of failure. You can't be afraid of change. You have to realize failure is part of success and it's part of where you're trying to get to. You can't be afraid of it. Change your relationship with failure. And once you do that, once you get outside of that comfort zone, what you're going to do is you're going to experience a lot of new confidence. You're going to have newfound confidence within yourself. It's going to expand your comfort zone, like I said. So now what seemed like a big deal to you wasn't a big deal, and it just becomes part of your daily action. And then you're able to expand your horizons, broaden your horizons a little bit. There's a guy that I've been following lately. If you've seen any of my posts on Facebook on my personal page, his name's David Goggins. Now, he curses like crazy. So if you're afraid of profanity or if you just don't like hearing it, I wouldn't recommend listening to him. But he's a Navy SEAL, and I'm currently reading his book right now. It's called Can't Hurt Me. And I thought he had a screwed up life before I read his book, just from some of his videos. But man, I read his book, and this guy has gone through some crazy stuff. And one thing he says to challenge himself is you always want to be uncommon among uncommon people. And what that means is he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And when he finally became a Navy SEAL, he realized he was common again. He was just a SEAL. He was like everybody else. So he kept putting himself back into these boot camps. He did SEAL training 3 times in 1 year. He did some Delta training. He did Army Rangers training because he wanted to keep putting himself, he wanted to be uncommon around uncommon people all the time so he could push himself further. This guy has pushed himself beyond limits. Now, he's totally one end of the spectrum. I'm not saying you got to be like this guy because he is insane. When I say insane, just Google his or YouTube his story. You'll find out. It really is crazy. But one thing that he said that really, really hit home with me was, it's kind of funny, but he says, do something that sucks. That's how you grow. Embrace the suck. And so, I start thinking about why am I not here? Or why haven't I done that? And there's things that that you need to do to get you places you need to be, but they suck and you don't want to do them. Right. And so what he's challenging people to do, and what I challenge you to do, and I did challenge people to do this on a Facebook Live the other day, and I had some people actually reach out to me and say like, hey, I didn't want to go out running today, but I did. I ran a mile and it felt great. Thank you for the encouragement. And that's what it's all about, guys. So I want you to, and I challenge you to do something that you know that you need to do, but it sucks. Eating healthy sucks. When you have ice cream and you have all kinds of candy, right, Jason? You can back me up on this.
I don't know, man. Speak for yourself. I like those Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah. See, eating healthy is not necessarily the most fun thing to do, but you need to do it if you want to be healthy and if you want to lose weight. So do the things that you need to do, but you don't necessarily want to do, because that's how you're going to grow. So I want you to imagine, just driving 15 miles an hour. It might seem like maybe it's a little scary to go a little faster. And then all of a sudden you do, and you drive 50 miles an hour. Then all of a sudden 15 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour seems like nothing, right? Because you've gotten out of that comfort zone. You've expanded it. If you think about your comfort zone, like this, and let's say there's a pendulum in between, and you're staying within your comfort zone, your pendulum's swinging back and forth, you're never going to experience any more success than what's within your comfort zone. So on the other side of that, though, is also failure. So, you're going to experience some failure, but guess what? When that ball swings this way into failure, it's going to swing that far back into success. So stick with it. Find what drives you. Motivation fades. You can get off of this phone call or this Zoom call right now, and you'll be excited. You'll be pumped up for a day or two, but come next Sunday, that motivation's gone. You're not still pumped up about this Zoom call. So find what drives you. Find something deep inside you that drives you. And you know what? If you have to do motivation every day, then that's what these calls are for. That's what the meetings are for. That's what YouTube videos are for. That's what books are for. That's what personal development's for. So keep that knife sharp and stick to it and just believe in yourself 100%. And that's all I got. We've all been through adversity. So let's not pretend it's not going to happen. It's going to happen to everybody, but how you handle it and how you deal with it is going to determine what kind of leader and what kind of person you turn into. If you just give up when it gets a little bit difficult, you're going to do that all through life, and you're teaching other people the same thing. So everything you do has a ripple effect. So always believe in yourself and help support those around you. That's
good
all.
Stuff, Guzman. Really good stuff. Isn't it amazing what we allow into our mind can deter us from making progress in life? They say fear, the true meaning of it is false expectations appear real. So if we allow certain things to come in our mind and we allow it to dictate us, then we don't end up taking that necessary step forward. We stay in the same place.
Absolutely.
Not good. That's your comfort zone.
I saw a great quote on Facebook the other day, and the guy said, too many people a lot of people are not living their dreams. They're living their fears. And, if you take that at face value, it might not make sense. But if you really think about it, what they're saying in the quote was, you're playing to your fears and you're not playing to your dreams. Really, you're letting your fears dictate your life. And that fear is stopping you from everything you want in life. That fear of what somebody might say, and you have no idea what they're going to say, but that fear of what they might say, or the fear of possible failure, is stopping you from everything you want.
You ever walk into a room and you've seen somebody you grew up with or someone you've known for a long time, maybe an old neighbor or coworker, and they're not with you, they're with someone else, and you ever feel that burn in you? Like, why didn't I talk to that person? I've had that happen. Well, I think we've all had that happen. And that's just me not talking to that person, maybe for whatever reason. I didn't come out of my comfort zone, but Tara capitalized on this person I'm talking about, and she built a team with this person, and here I prejudged this person, and so that was my fault. I'll tell you that did not feel good. that did not feel good. So that was my own fault. But good stuff, Guzman. Thanks for sharing all your tips. I definitely love that ending part and hearing your story. I didn't even know some of that. So good stuff. Now I do have a question for you here that was asked. Let's see here, the question. Let me get to it here. Where do you find a balance, meaning be my customer or join my business? This is from Senior Director Catherine Finley out of Texas.
I think so. I guess she's asking, like, how do you determine what they want to be, whether they're going to be a customer or an associate?
Yeah, it says meaning be my customer or join my business. Where do you find the balance? I guess what she's asking is how do you approach that? And the way I was taught, if I'm reading it right, is you show everybody the business. You just show everybody the business plan, and you don't be the person that picks whether they're better customer or associate. You just show it to them and allow them to see if it's for them or not for them. And you'll be surprised. Many might say, hey, I love it. Or many might say, this isn't for me, but I'll support you as a customer. And you should talk to my wife or husband or my brother or sister. This would be great for them. So again, it's another reason why we just show the business, because you never know. It may not be for them, but they may know someone in mind that it could be for.
Yeah,
anything you can add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that, a business partner is going to trump a customer any day, because a business partner can bring in several other business partners and, all bringing in several customers, whereas a customer might just get you a few referrals or so. So I would say that, I always lead with the business. I personally lead with the business. And then if they say no to the business, then I ask them to become a customer, and I've just gathered customers, that way by doing it indirectly almost. But we all know that, the key to serious long-term financial success and true freedom is through building a team. And so I lead with the business first. And then also at that point, the person's also been exposed to what we do, and they see what kind of company it is. And, they see that you know what you're talking about. And so they're a little bit more comfortable even making a decision as a customer when you do eventually switch to that, if you do.
Okay. I got another one here. Justin Henry, Managing Director, right here, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He's actually on my team. He had a question. When you have a potential customer or associate say they've had a bad experience, how would you respond with the difference between our company and others? That's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end, for me, you can take this too if you want, Jay, but I think for me, it really just comes down to trust, trusting you.
Yep.
It's not about putting down other companies or comparing this or that. They're your customer. So at the end of the day, I'm taking good care of you. You've known me for 20 years. Have I ever screwed you over? Have I ever done anything out of character or out of integrity, to you? So why would you not trust me?
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're right. And Justin Henry, just to spin on that a little, you joined your brother-in-law. Why did you join your brother-in-law? Because you trusted, you liked your brother-in-law. So to see him have success, so when you like and trust, obviously you got involved. People don't join Stream. They don't know who Stream is, but they know you. They know the friend or family member that is sharing this with you. And if you happen to like them, you'll listen to them. If you happen to trust them, you'll end up doing business with them in some capacity or another, whether it be to support them as a customer or an associate. It all comes down to you and how the people perceive you as, not Stream. You could sit there all day and name out all the accolades and everything we've done in 15 plus years, $1 billion debt free, whatever you want to say. That all really means very little. It's the relationship you have with that person, and that is what truly matters. They've had a bad experience with another company. You put your reputation, you put your character, your credibility on the line, and you challenge that person. You say, well, come on, you know me better than that. You know I wouldn't be getting in bed with a shady outfit, with a fake scamming company. You know me better than that. So when people see that passion in you, they'll believe you, and they'll set aside whatever may have happened to them in the past. So that was a good question. Now I like that.
Good question.
And then there's just someone just thanking, a bunch of people thanking you. All right, Guzman. Well, thank you, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Thanks for putting all this together too.
Hey, you bet. Hey, thank you for coordinating it. I can't do all that IT stuff. I don't know. All righty. So next up is a gentleman happens to be on my team. He's a senior director. He currently resides in Georgia, born and raised in North Carolina, has moved around a good bit. I've got to know this gentleman and his wife in Pennsylvania when they lived here for a long period of time. We actually used to go to church together. And here I had a friend of mine that joined my business, and he said, Jason, I want to put together a home meeting, invite some folks over. Well, Walter and his wife had joined another church, and we lost contact with one another. And here I'm at this home, and the doorbell rings, and in comes about 6 or 8 people. And here it was all these folks I went to church with that moved on to another church. And here's Walter Sansbury sitting in the corner. Probably out of the group, I would say was the least interested. I'm pretty good at reading rooms. I mean, I can read body language. I was taught all that in my sales career. And I'm sitting there trying to read this room. And I have to be honest with you, Walter would have been the last guy that I would have walked up and spoke to. In fact, I think he was, other than the fact I knew him, had a relationship with him. I didn't see the interest there. And I have to tell you, he's the only one in that group that actually made something happen out of this business. There was quite a few that joined, and here the man in the corner with the poker face that I would have bet all odds would have said no way has jumped on my team. Not only jumped on my team, but has built a team in Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Ohio. He's rocking and rolling. He's a senior director. He's a good friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Walter Sansbury.
Thank you, Jason. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you great, man.
All right. First of all, I want to say it's an honor to be part of this selection. When you mentioned it, I said to myself, I'm looking at Tara and Kimberly and Steve, Andy. I'm like 300 club recipients, Rising Star recipients. I'm like, I haven't accomplished any of that. So I said jokingly, I can tell you what not to do. The funny thing is, what I'm going to talk about today are some things that successful people in stream don't do. And some of the things that already been touched on, but I look back and I looked at all of those people that have success with this company. They have a lot of characteristics, and even yourself, Jason Bias, a lot of these things I've heard from different places, and just watching what people did. So I said, I'm going to put it together. So I got 10 things that I'm going to discuss that successful people in stream don't do. So the first thing they don't do is doubt the services. They believe in the services that we offer, and they're their own customers. It'd be difficult to sell something to somebody that you don't even have yourself. They're going to, first of all, think that, well, they don't even trust the product. Why should I? Another thing that successful people in stream don't do, they don't become undercover agents. You can't be ashamed of the product. You can't be ashamed to be an independent stream agent. If you'll never reach your goals if nobody ever knows what you do. I've been down a year and a half. I think it might be 2 years down here in this area. And as I'm meeting people, I tell them all, I'm like, look, I hope you're not an undercover agent because I don't want you upset with me if your mother, your brother comes to this meeting. So I want you to talk to all your friends and family now, because if I see somebody, they're going to know what I do. The next thing, successful people in stream don't isolate themselves. They plug into the meetings. They go to the conferences. They get on conference calls. They attend the webinars. They attend these type of Zoom calls. And, when they show up to these events and show up to meetings, they are active. They are active participants in those meetings. They're engaged and they're helping support those people that are having the meeting. They're not just there bringing a guest there and then on their phone scrolling through on Facebook and all this other stuff, but they're trying to help support the person that's up there talking. So you always want to plug in. Don't isolate yourself. Don't go into hiding. Other thing they don't do, and this one right here will answer probably one of the questions that I think it was Sharp or either Scott had mentioned. The first thing, what they don't do is they don't convince, they don't persuade. I don't know where I heard this from, but one of the things they say is that professionals sort, amateurs convince and sell. So one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to take it personal. You got to know that no doesn't mean never. I try to use it as fuel, and then I just keep it moving. So one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to disown your parents and your siblings or relatives or friends just because they said no to the business, didn't want to support you. You might want to choke them, but just be persistent, stick in there, and over time they're going to watch your consistency and they'll come around. Because Jason and a lot of you can speak to that. Once they saw success, I'm pretty sure that's what attracted them to come on and be your customer. And so it was a question that was asked about how do you prospect when you go into a new area? Someone going to Ohio, how do you want to prospect? So one of the things that you don't want to do, you don't want to convince, you don't want to persuade. I've run into no strangers, can strike a conversation up like this. But one thing I found myself doing was convincing and trying to persuade. And when you're doing that kind of stuff, is you got to convince them to get on a call. You got to convince them to come to a meeting. So you definitely don't want to do that. Even if you want to present the business to everybody, but if you got to keep following up and trying to return phone calls and other things, that's probably somebody you want to go out there as a customer. So you don't want to waste your time with indecisive people who feel like you or Stream need them more than they need Stream. Found myself a lot wanting this for people that really need it. Financially, they don't have ends. They can't make ends meet. You really want it for them, but they got to see it for themselves. They're in the situation they're in because of the choices they made. You can't force them to do it. The other thing that successful people don't do in stream, they just, and I think Steve just touched bases on this, they don't just do what's comfortable. They have to do what's necessary, not what's just comfortable. They reach out to people that's on that chicken list, those people that they feel like, well, they really don't need this. They got it going on. They're very popular, but you never know. And Jason mentioned you can see people and you would think, but no, they wouldn't be interested, and you don't do it. And like he said, Tara found somebody and she ran with this person. This person's doing very well in that team. So just take the guesswork out and present it to everybody. Step out of your comfort zone. Number 6, as far as they don't behave dull and unpassionate. People that have success, they are passionate. They're enthused. People should be able to hear it in their voice, what they believe about this company, because you can go up there and say the right thing, but if you're saying it the wrong way, people can read through it. They can see through it. And so if you're not excited about your decision, nobody else is going to be excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, as far as what successful people don't do, they don't become unfastened by the process. They have a burning desire to obtain the results, regardless of the obstacles. I don't know who else might have said this, but I heard Dr. Terry Young down here in Georgia said, you have to embrace the process. You have to understand it and communicate to your team what they should expect. Yes. You let them know that there's going to be some frustrations, but there are also going to be some victories on this journey. There's going to be some happy moments, some disappointments, some celebrations, some feelings of doubt. Maybe even a time, where you feel like, why did I join this business? That's when you go back and remember your why. But then there's going to be times of sacrifice. And so if you communicate that to your team and you understand it yourself, when it comes, you won't be shook. You'll continue to proceed forward and push through, knowing that end goal that you have. Number 8, successful people don't consider this optional. They look at stream as something that's significant. They don't see it as anything that's insignificant and trivial. When they decided to join this business, they decided that stream was going to be the vehicle for them to accomplish this why. Whatever that why was, they said this was going to be it, because there's many ways that you can make money. Everybody that's wealthy and they're not in stream, but we chose stream. And so that's going to be one of the vehicles that we said we're going to do. So it's no option. Failure is not an option. And if you don't quit, you'll be successful if you just do the things that you know you have to do. You basically put a stake in the ground and just say, whatever, hell or high water, we will succeed. Number 8, successful people don't think they have all the answers. They continue to increase their skill set via reading, workshops, seminars. They mentioned it earlier on the call. And they also mentioned that, you're going to connect yourself with individuals that already accomplished what you're trying to accomplish. It's almost mirror matching that they talked about. You want to find somebody that you can mentor, and you want to be a student. And they always say, if you're the smartest person in the room constantly, it's time for you to change your rooms. And number 10, last but not least, one thing that successful people don't do is become absent-minded. They don't compartmentalize stream in one part of their brain and say, okay, it's Wednesday, it's time for me to go streaming. No, stream is like an integral part of their lives. It's always on the back of their mind. When they're talking to people, it's not like they're trying to backdoor them in or whatnot, but they're just listening and they're trying to understand, could stream possibly be a solution to whatever they're going through right now? One of the things that I know Dr. Terry Young has told his team is that we don't live to stream, but we stream while we live. And so people say, well, I'm too busy and I don't have time to do this. I ask them, I say, do you ever go to the grocery store? Do you go to the shopping center? Do you go to the salon, the barber shop? Do you go to church or wherever you go? You take it with you. You don't have to just well, you do have to carve out some special time to get on the webinars and other things, but you don't have to do that to grow your team and to meet customers. So just to, in closing, just want to wrap up, go over those 10 things again that successful people don't do. They don't doubt the services. Number 2, they don't become undercover agents. Number 3, they don't isolate themselves. Number 4, they don't convince or persuade others to join. Number 5, they don't just do what's comfortable. They do what's necessary. Number 6, they don't behave dull or unpassionate. Number 7, they don't become unfastened by the process. Number 8, they don't consider this optional. And number 9, they don't think they have all the answers. And finally, number 10, they don't become absent-minded. Jason, that's all I have.
Walter, has anyone ever said you speak like a national director?
No, but I received that.
You did a fine job, man. I love it. And, you touched on people being busy. And yesterday I heard Rob say on the MD boot camp, this business is meant for busy people. And it truly is. Those that are busy, shaking hands, meeting people are the ones that are the most successful in this business, ironically. And after hearing Chrissy Kressler talk about how she's on all these different boards and these PTO meetings, and she owns a business with her mother, and then put on top of all that 6 children.
Wow.
I don't think I want to hear anyone say how busy they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really can't buy that. I mean, can you imagine that, all that stuff, and you still are building a tremendous dream business? So I heard you say about it's okay to take a break, in which it is. I mean, you're going to get frustrated, and you hear Steve Fisher say this all the time. It's okay to quit. Just be ready to start back up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a business. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to deal with things, and sometimes it's going to be a little too much, especially if you have a booming team that's growing. You're going to find yourselves in situations, and sometimes those situations can be a little overbearing. But just understand it is what it is. It's business, and things happen. Things do occur. Just be ready to start back up tomorrow and get it going. And one other thing I wanted to touch on too, the different types of people. I mean, you're going to have your runners. You're going to have your walkers. You're going to have your crawlers. I mean, you're going to have all different types of people in different phases of the business. And through time, they'll develop and grow into walkers and hopefully runners as well. But understand that not everybody's in the same spot, and everyone's going to have their own little speed. But you definitely don't want to sit with the sitters. And I heard that loud and clear with you. You don't want the undercover agents, the people that aren't out actively working the business. So good points, Walter. Thanks for sharing, man. Glad I had you on, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, now we have our last gentleman. He is our closer of the evening, another Philadelphia Eagle fan out of brotherly love, the city, 300 club earner, senior director, great man, single dad, served our country proudly. Glad to have him on. Senior Director Andy Brock, are you with us?
What's up, JB? Thanks for having me.
Hey, I just got one question before you get going.
What's up, brother?
How many monsters have you drank?
On my second. So if you don't mind me bringing the passion and bringing a little bit of excitement, then we're good to go.
Hey, let's get this party rocking, brother. Glad to have you on.
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks for inviting me on the panel. It's quite humbling, quite an honor to be part of such an esteemed crowd of senior directors. Also, it's going to be hard to follow up what the MDs did yesterday. If you did not watch the MD call yesterday, the boot camp, I highly suggest you get on it because those MDs brought it. And there's no reason why you can't say that every one of them very soon is going to be a senior director. And if you watch the call, you will see exactly what we're talking about because that call was fire. So I just want to congratulate all of them, Nicole, Chrissy, Sarita, Sophia, unbelievable job under trying circumstances. Rob, Jeff Perry, every one of them killed it, and it was absolutely amazing. So just quickly, if you guys don't know who I am and what my story is that I've been a United States postal carrier, mailman, for 13 years. I'll be 13 years next month. I was 8 years military before that, where because of incidents that happened within my service, I developed PTSD. And what I didn't realize was that PTSD took a hold of me. I didn't realize I had a problem. I failed to admit that I had a problem, and it basically crippled my entire life for 10 years. Fast forward 10 years later, here I am on my second divorce in 4 years, 2 foreclosures, car repossessed. I'm working 80 hours a week to avoid declaring bankruptcy, didn't have any money, didn't have any time to take my kid on a real vacation. And on February 16th, 2017, I had a gun to my head and pulled the trigger. Now, luckily, because I've been about 10 years removed from being a soldier, and I forgot to take the safety off. So I was kind of out of the loop on gun safety there. But it was actually a blessing in disguise, because sometimes it takes a monumental moment in your life to really evaluate what you have to look forward to and what it is really that you're fighting for. In this case, it was my son. So when I started this journey, it wasn't only just to get out of that crippling financial debt, but while I was a single man and divorced, I've never taken my kid on a real vacation. And that's really why I started this journey. And, so in those 2 years, because of this business, we've been to Disney, St. Louis, Kansas City, Chicago, Baltimore. I mean, we've been all over the country. Clearwater, we went to spring training last year. We're going to spring training again in February. And these are all the reasons why I started this business in the first place. So, but over time, and using the compound effect and just slowly doing something for my business every single day, I was able to build this beyond my wildest dreams. I never imagined this. I'm a grunt. Okay, I'm just used to going to work for 40, 60, 80 hours a week every day and collecting that paycheck. And if I don't show up to work, I don't get paid, right? So, when I started this was something totally new, totally different, something I've never done before, but I've embraced it. I've learned from my mistakes. I've accepted failure. And over that, I'm a totally different person now, 2 years later, after starting this journey. So if I can share anything with you guys, the very first thing that I can say is you look at this panel, okay? Every one of these senior directors, every senior director that you see in stream, every executive director that you see in stream, there is not a damn thing different from them in you. You all have the ability to be a senior director. You all have the ability to be an executive director. It's just, like Steve said, you have to embrace the suck, because everything that happens in your journey to senior director, okay, it sucks. It's uncomfortable. It's not natural. So you have to embrace that suck. I'm getting a little, so you have to have unwavering belief. I heard a story once, Matthew McConaughey tell, and if you haven't actually watched any Matthew McConaughey videos on YouTube, he's actually kind of turning into quite the motivational speaker, but he said something once that really spoke to me. And what that was is that you have to project yourself to the person that you want to be 5 years from today. And you have to do everything every single day to become that person. And then when you get there, do it again. Project yourself for another 5 years. So you have to have unwavering belief, because let's be honest, to be a senior director, to be an executive director, all right, you have to be a certain kind of crazy. And I say that because to be crazy, you have to embrace the rejection. It sucks getting told no. I hate it. But guess what? I've learned something from it every day. I've learned something that doesn't work. I learned something that does work. So I'm able to tailor everything from that point forward, okay? And I encourage you guys all to do it yourselves, is that embrace the failure, embrace the rejection, okay? Embrace the no's. Because, they talked about it yesterday. I think Jason was talking about it on the MD call yesterday. There may be a period of time where you're on fire. You're getting 15 out of 15 yeses. But then you're going to hit those peaks and valleys, right? And you're going to go 0 for 15. But those are the times when you need to have your belief the most. Like, we have the greatest opportunity on earth. And nobody can convince me otherwise. Not one single person. I am so totally bought in. I got a guy on my team, Rob Amy, that's so totally bought in. And, we do have the greatest opportunity. And it's our job to go out and share that with everybody else. The second thing I want to talk about is we already have the odds stacked against us as far as being in network marketing. It's been around for the entire length of the world, right? Okay. Some form of network marketing has always been around, but particularly in the last 30, 20, 10 years, network marketers have gotten a bad name. And that's because they've been doing unprofessional tactics. They've been doing shady tactics, okay? So when you go out and you build your business, and you're going to learn this, especially in that journey from managing director to senior director, okay? Build it with integrity. Build it with passion. You see the passion in my voice. And it's not just because of the coffees I had this morning and the 1.5 monsters I've had before this call. I'm passionate because I love this business. Okay. I love everything about this business. I love the process. I love the people. I love the journey. Everything that it's taught me from February 16th, 2017 until today. Okay. I have embraced it and I love every single thing of it. Okay. Build it with character. Be honest, but above all, be a servant leader. You cannot promote the senior director without being a servant leader, without helping everybody on your team accomplishing their goals. And by default, you are going to accomplish your goals. So make it less about you, make it less about what you want to achieve, and make it about everybody else. The third thing that I want to talk about, and this is very, very important to me, is find a mentor. Okay? Find somebody in this business that is where you want to be. Find somebody in this business that will push you to where you want to be. Find somebody in this business that will take you under their wing and teach you every single thing that you want to know, everything that you want to achieve. They will teach you. But on top of that, I'm not even just talking about finding a mentor in this business. Find a mentor outside of the business. Okay, Chrissy Kressler yesterday talked about Les Brown. She's obsessed with Les Brown. One of her goals in life is to be a motivational speaker. So what better mentor for her outside of the business to follow everything that Les Brown does and learn everything that they can from him, okay? So you can have mentors in the business, but also go find a mentor outside the business. Eric Worre, obviously, is the first one that comes to mind. He's the top guy when it comes to network marketing as far as allowing him to mentor you. But you have so many others. You got Ray Higdon. I know Steve is a big fan of Ray Higdon. If you're not a part of Rank Makers, a bunch of us are, and we have a 14-day challenge coming up that I'm totally excited about. So Ray Higdon's another one. Bob Heilig, Big Al. Find somebody that relates to you. Find somebody that speaks your language. Find somebody that just gets that blood boiling. You want to learn. You want to be a better version of yourself. You want to be a better businessman. You want to be a better network marketer. Okay. So, go out and find yourself a mentor. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about, and I'm trying to keep this short, but this is something that's very near and dear to my heart because two of these people are actually on this panel and on this call. And I cannot stress to you the importance of finding an accountability partner. Jason, you talked about it earlier with you and Tara being accountability partners. Well, I have two amazing accountability partners in Steve and Tara myself, okay? It's okay to have more than one. And it's okay to have an accountability partner that has an accountability partner that has an accountability partner, right? Because it all trickles up, it all comes down. So find somebody that will push you and hold you accountable to your daily actions. Find somebody that you can be honest with. Don't lie. Be completely honest, okay? Find somebody who just wants to see you win. Everything that they want is just to see you win. They don't care how you do it, but they want you to do it. Those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, okay? So surround yourself with people that are where you want to be but will hold you accountable and will push you. And if they haven't heard you for a couple days, they're going to call you and say, yo, what are you doing? Get your head out of your ass and let's go. Let's get to work, okay? Steve and I have had this conversation many, 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 many times over the last couple months. With me with him and him with me. But you know what? We're still here. We're still here because we're pushing each other. We're investing in each other. We just want to see each other win. It's not about the money for us anymore. It's not about the money for us anymore. It's about the people. It's about the people that we come in contact, the lives that we're changing, and the people that we want to help. We're in the business of helping people, all right? The fifth thing that I want to talk about is events, okay? A bunch of the other leaders talked about it, okay? You will only be successful by plugging in and attending events, okay? I cannot tell you any of the rock stars that I've seen in this business that never come to events, all right? There is a reason why they're successful, because they plug in, all right? They may have the worst week of their lives, okay? And they don't feel like doing it. You know, maybe their dog died, or, you know, the kids are sick, or the mailman misdelivered her mail. By the way, that happens a lot with me. You know, I'm just saying. But when you plug into events, it's like recharging the battery. Okay, I liken it a lot like church. Okay, when you go to church and you get around it, you're around the music. You might hear a sermon that speaks to you. Well, it's the same thing in stream. And I don't mean to go Catholic or religious or any of that, but there's really something to be said in attending events and recharging that battery and recharging that passion and that motivation to go out and fire away at your business. Because this business, especially this company, and the way that it's going is going from event to event to event. All right. And that's what they're really going to be focusing on in 2019, from my understanding. So you really need to do whatever you can to plug in to every single event. So lastly, what I want to talk about, and this is kind of like a little tip for those of you that feel like you might be out of your warm market. You might extended your warm market. You don't have any more people to talk to, okay? Guess what? You do, because just take a look at your customer list, okay? You might have 30, 40, 60, 100, 180 people there that are just waiting for you to ask them to be a business partner. And we don't even think about them. We don't even think about them because we figure, oh, they're a customer, they're saving money, you know, they're not interested. And we forget about them, right? Okay, but I've personally sponsored 30 people on my team that originally began as customers. Here's the beauty of it. They believe in Stream. They believe in you. You've done everything that you said that you would do for them. You've kept them renewed. You've saved them money, okay? They still get their utility bill from the utility company, okay? Nothing has changed. But the difference is between the time that you got them as a customer to the time now, all right, their situation might have changed. There's a lot that can happen in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, okay? So go into your customer lists. And we have a very big event coming up next Saturday at Super Saturday. This is the perfect time to go into your customer lists today while you're watching that Eagles game or the Chargers game, whatever game that you're watching today, and start jotting down names of your customers that you want to go talk to about this business, okay? And then you start building that relationship, and then you invite them to the event next week. Let the event do the talking. You do less talking. You let the event, you let the environment, you let the energy, you let all of that's already there for you ready to go. You get them in front of that room. You get them in front of your team. You get them in front of the leaders that are killing it. And you allow that all to do the talking for you, okay? So just to review, and my screen X'd out, okay? You have to have that unwavering belief. Project the person that you want to be in 5 years, okay? And then spend every single day chasing that person that you want to be 5 years from now. And when you get there, project yourself another 5 years. Build your business with integrity, passion, character, honesty, and above all, servant leadership. You have to be a servant leader because you have to make it about the team. If you are focusing on your goals, your individual goals, and that's all you're talking about. I want to be in the 300 club. I want to be a rising star. I want to walk across the stage. You know what? People aren't going to respond to that. People aren't going to respond to that. Focus on what their goals are. They want to hit the 30 club. They want to hit those 3 bonuses for their first 15 customers. They want to promote the regional director. They want to promote the managing director. And by default, every goal that you have, everything that you want in this business is going to happen on its own. All right. Find a mentor. You know, when I was running to senior director, my mentor obviously was my upline, Stefan Rodriguez. Great mentor, great man, one of the most amazing men in Stream. But when I became a senior director, I knew that I could find more mentors. And, you know, I locked arms with Jeff Steer. And if you don't know Jeff Steer, he's one of the best teachers in this entire business. And that dude holds me accountable. And he doesn't pull any punches, because when he sees me doing something wrong, he tells me about it, and he will tell me about a plane, and it won't be nice, but guess what? That's how I respond. He knows how I respond. He knows what I need to hear. So those are the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with a mentor. Accountability partners, if you don't have one, get one, okay? I cannot stress the importance of accountability partners. Events, you need to attend, you need to plug in, you need to be a part of every single event, and then recruit from your customer lists. The funny thing about that is a lot of people don't want to talk to their customers because they don't want to give the customers back to the associates, right? Now, this might not be very popular to say, but what I do is when I recruit a customer into my business as a business partner, and they say, well, can I be my own customer? I said, yeah, you can, but you know what? You got to earn it first, okay? So you go get 15 customers first, then I will let you get your accounts back. Now, if they figure it out in the meantime, how to go online in the Power Center and fill out a customer claim form, then hey, more power to them. At least I know that they're checking out the Power Center and doing everything they can to learn about their business, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's great. But in the meantime, they are producing to get their own bills back. And in the meantime, if they quit, because we have to imagine that we have to treat these people like they're the biggest rock stars that have ever come into this business, but we have to prepare ourselves that they're going to quit within the first 30 days. So if they quit with only getting 5 bills, what is it going to serve me as sponsoring them by giving them their bills back, and then I lose that towards the customer plus, right? So make them earn their right to be their own customer when they come into the business. So that's pretty much all I have, guys. Listen, there is nothing different between us as senior directors and the executive directors that you see walking across the stage. There is nothing that we do or are better or have bigger networks or just have been more educated. It's just not true, okay? It really comes down to you. It really comes down to your passion, your belief, and you have to do something for your business every single day, okay? You can take a day off, but for the most part, you have to do something every single day and let it compound. Rob talked about it yesterday, the 1-3-5-7, okay? I'm basically hitting year 3 right now. So I'm getting to that point where the business is starting to look like it can transition to a full-time gig, right? But it took 3 years to get to that point. You're not going to serve yourself by quitting before that. So, guys, that's all I have. Thanks a lot. JB, thanks for inviting me to be a part of this. Really an honor, really humbling, and hopefully I brought some value to you guys.
Hey, for some of the listeners on here, when you threw out that mailman joke, Andy Brock is actually a mailman. That's where that came from. But, Andy, I have to tell you, I just love your passion. You can see the passion coming through the screen here. And you hit it right, man. It's all really about being a servant leader in Stream and helping people, not only on your team, but other people within the Stream community. That's how we all succeed. It's one of the things I think I fell in love with this company most was that there were people out there willing to help me that had no monetary gain on me. And it made me a believer even bigger than I was already. I loved your 5-year outlook. I mean, 5 years is going to go by whether you do something or you don't. So imagine you invest 15, 20 minutes, half hour a day into your Stream business for 365 days consistently. There's going to be many days in there where nothing's happening for you. But there's going to be many days where things are. Customers are going to come into your business. Business partners are going to partner. They're going to start building a nice team of themselves and so on and so on. And before you know it, you're at the 5-year road and you're looking back and you're saying, wow, I'm glad I stuck to that. I'm glad I disciplined myself. I'm glad I did something, even if it was a little bit, each and every day. The accountability partner, I mean, that is so important. And when you go to search an accountability partner, make sure that you find one that's going to hold you accountable, and don't be upset when they do. I generally ask people when they ask me, will you be my accountability partner? I ask them, and I look them right in their eye. Are you sure you want me to be your accountability partner? I hold no punches, and Tara Woodman will tell you that. I'm a straightforward type of person. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. I'm going to tell you if you're not doing the things you should be doing. And that's what a real accountability partner is. And I have to say, I love Sylvia Schroeder for it. She still is one of my accountability partners, but she was a big influence on me early on. and she smacked me around quite a few times. Anybody that knows Sylvia, she's not very tall. She's about 4'10". But I love my Sylvia Schroeder, and she kept me in line. And it's important to have that person there that cares about you. And the last point here, remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So dive into them, give them all you got, and love on them people, and become family with those people. And once those people know that, they'll do anything for you. I could tell you, almost every single person in this company that knows our founder, Rob Snyder, will run up a mountain for that man, because they know that man will do anything for them, anything. And that's a great feeling. So be that leader like Rob is, and love on those people, and you'll get the same return. How we all do for Rob, you'll get the same return within your team. Many have asked for an ED boot camp. There's one being put together. I know we've had mad success on the one yesterday with MD, and this one, very successful as well. Thank you, Tara Woodman, Kimberly Stevens, Stephen Guzman, Walter Sansbury, Andy Brock. You guys all rocked it today. Thank you all for yesterday that got on. And we are going to put together an ED boot camp. And this is something we're going to look to do probably once a month, because the feedback I'm getting is amazing. And we can take a little time out of our days, us leaders, and do this 1 week in a month, and especially if it's helping everybody. And that's the whole point. Last thing I want to touch on, guys, and I've heard many of the speakers all say this, is the importance of plugging into our events. Super Saturday is next Saturday. If you're not registered, get registered. If your team's not registered, get them registered. If you don't have a guest, find a guest. Get 2-3 guests. Throw them in a trunk if you have to. Get them to this event. This is a must-attend event, and this is the launch pad of the 2019 year. So what you do now, starting with this event, will carry into our next event, which is the largest one of the year, Ignition in Dallas, Texas. And that's a 3-day event. And trust me, you go one time, you go every year. It's one of those type of things that you look forward to like Christmas. These two events, between next Saturday and Ignition, will catapult you through the rest of the year, take you through third quarter and fourth quarter. It's very important that you just stay disciplined, you stay on task, you stay focused, you know your why, you keep achieving your goals, and you do that by running with others, by plugging in. So with that being said, that is the end of our Senior Director Boot Camp. We will have this sent out momentarily as soon as the recording is completed for all those that were not able to get on. And for those that were, thank you for being part of this today with us. Thankfully, we took over the segment of the Baltimore Ravens San Diego game, where that game really didn't mean anything. But the next game comes on at 4:45. Go Eagles, go! Fly Eagles, fly! I am an Eagles fan as of 1/6 of 19.
My man.
Just today, guys. Just today. Maybe next week too. I don't know.
BDN. Big Stick Nick. Let's go.
Great call, guys. Thank you all. And I look forward to seeing you all here in the upcoming days and weeks and months. So go out there and do what we do. And I'll be talking to you all shortly. Take care.